Good afternoon. It's now just gone 4 o'clock and this is my second video today actually, folks, because I shot and posted a video and then looked back at it and realised there was something wrong with the colour. It was just like something from a Disney movie. It was so vivid. So I've adjusted the camera anyway, okay, and we're back to normal. So I thought what I'd do is just start this little video. there's Sammy Bear. No, we're not starting with Sammy Bear. He's sitting there on a little bit of a silent protest. He's wanting to have wet cat food, and I'm insisting he eats his biscuits first. He's not even turning around to look at me. Oh, there he goes. Disgusted. Oh, maybe he's going... No, he's not. No, he's still on protest. So anyway, I thought I would start today's video with a little bit of an acknowledgement, first of all. I'm doing this one-handedly. I've got to scroll up on my laptop. Little letter I got, little email I got from Michael. Michael, who has subscribed to the channel and has also ordered a book. So I'm just going to read a little bit of Michael's email. Hello Colette, I just ordered your first book this weekend, but I have to say that I feel like I've already experienced it by way of your YouTube videos. I stumbled upon them when I was watching Gardener's World. YouTube has been a life changer for me. I discovered Gardener's World when I was last in the UK in 2015. As you may or may not know, we here in the States are not as keen on gardening as those of you on the islands. Most are more interested in fire pits and hardscape. Yeah, I understand that, Michael. I've actually got a niece living in the States, so it is a different culture and I appreciate that. It is my passion in life, and have virtually no one to share, commiserate or brag about the garden. Can I just intercept again? Michael, I think that there's a growing number of people, especially in the United States of America, who are becoming quite passionate about growing and planting and gardening. Things are changing. I'll go back to your email. But then I found you. It's like having a next door neighbour who's walking me through their garden and sharing it so freely. I can't thank you enough for the strolls down the paths with Jack and the cats along for the ride. It's a memorising view into another world. I won't say where you live, okay, so I'll just skip that. So, you live in Florida anyway. Okay, but I'm not going to point out. Lots of trees and a chain of lakes that I am fortunate enough to have a beautiful view from my garden. With a double lot, I have managed to create a microclimate that allows me to have several garden rooms. Now I'm going to stop there because that's really very clever. To create different garden rooms. That's precisely what I would advise people to do, because you know something? Creating gardens or creating a garden is ostensibly creating a habitat for your soul. That's what you're creating, a habitat for your soul. Now as you start to build up the garden, Of course you're planting food, whether it's for yourself or the incredible wildlife that an interesting garden will attract. But the idea of creating different garden rooms is something which brings us back to a sort of fantasy childhood in a way. And you know, maybe that is what begins to connect us back to this sense of Eden, which is at the heart of Mother Earth. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to the email. So I'm going to skip a few paragraphs. I'm going to go down to the second to last paragraph, Michael. I have a question before I close. The view out your side door, it's actually my back door, Michael, has the two palm-like plants flanking each side. May I know what those are? Very simple, Michael. Those are cordylines. So I'm going to take this camera out now and continue this. I'll just finish off your email. Again, I thank you for your passion and talents. I will continue to watch and learn. Michael Gill. That's a really good County Leitrim name, Michael. Michael Gill. So, no, I'm not following you, Sammy Bear. No, I'm not. If you think I'm going to come over there and give you what you want, which is wet cat food, you're wrong. I can get this back door open, I'll be lucky. There's a very good boy. Yes, there's my Jack. Okay, so here's the two palm-like plants. These are cordylines, and cordylines. Look at the beautiful snail there in that cordyline. Beautiful creature. The cordylines are very tropical looking, aren't they? Which is something I love about them. And this cordyline here on the left is surrounded with lemon balm and euphorbia and sedum and rosemary and Senecio and Jacob's ladder and chives. And of course it's the usual thing, because the roots of the cordyline are going down that bit deeper, it can afford to have all those beautiful plants around it and still thrive. So, and then this is the other cordyline. And if you look back on previous videos, Michael, you'll see them as quite small plants. Always best to get your plants, if you are going to buy plants from a nursery, which is where these two have come from, okay, it's always best to get them small. Buy them when they're quite small, and look after them as you do children, and allow them to grow into their space, and that way then they'll become beautifully acclimatized. And yeah, they do look very, very exotic. Look, there's a very exotic shot. Hard to believe that's Ireland, or this is Ireland. I'm going to show you a cordyline that I planted. Let me see now. Think back. Gosh, how long ago? Oh, it must be about 12 years ago. We'll say 12 years ago. And I planted a tree then in beside it. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. And it's growing. It's growing alongside the purple beech tree. Okay, again, you know, all the garden experts, especially on Gardener's World, don't tell Alan Titchmarsh, would say, no, you can't do that because they're not going to... the tree is going to kill off the cordyline. Well, actually it hasn't. And I'll tell you a little story about this cordyline. Look at this, look, it looks like it's in Barbados or somewhere. I'm just going to pull back so you can see in situ. Okay. In 2010, we had a severe winter. It was severe. We had frost. I mean, the whole ground, the trees, the plants, the entire landscape was frozen in a state of kind of suspended animation. It was both beautiful and terrifying. And most of the cordylines, including this one, died. The whole plant sort of melted with that degree of freezing. It made a little bit of recovery because, of course, you can see the plant itself was just one stem. So when it sort of melted and died, when it tried to come back up again, it came up with 2 or 3 stems. Right? The following year, 2011, we had the same quite terrifying but very beautiful frost, and it lasted for 6 weeks again. It was as though the Gulf Stream had been cut off and the land froze, everything on the landscape froze. Again, 6 weeks of suspended animation, and this cordyline, which had struggled to come back, melted and died again. However, all was not lost, and I think it's down to the fact that I planted so densely. Again, as I said yesterday, I broke all the rules and I planted like I should not have planted. Because the plants that were around this cordyline, I think, helped to protect those roots. So, 2012, in 2012, the following year, the cordyline came up in 1, 2, 3. No, it actually came up in 1, that big one there, and the one on the left 2. And since then, it's been sprouting and growing ever more cordyline plants. So we now have, I'm just going to count these, because I haven't even thought about this, recently. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cordylines. And height-wise, it must be 10 foot high. 10 foot. I'm thinking to myself now that if there is another bad winter, this cordyline looks pretty well protected by everything around it, doesn't it? And the soil here as well was so thin, because the bedrock is only about 6 inches down, maybe less. The soil was so thin that I had to sort of create a little bank here to plant these. But I would think that the roots of both the tree, but I'd say probably the roots of the tree has broken down through the bedrock, which is quite slabby. It's quite slabby kind of bedrock. In other words, when you try to break it up, it comes away in slabs. So it's not difficult for a tree's roots to get down into that. And I think because the tree's roots are longer and bigger and stronger, it's provided openings then for the roots of the cordyline. That's what I'm kind of gathering from the way that these plants are growing so closely together. But there we go. That's the story of the cordylines. I think I've got some more in the garden. I'm trying to think where they are. Yeah, I think I've got another cordyline further down the garden. And of course, it must be acknowledged that the cordyline is not indigenous to Ireland. But then everything is changing so much, so fast, that if the earth here welcomes it, and it provides something for the habitat of the wildlife, plant it. So, this is a spectacular rose bush here. It's growing right out through all the trees. Again, breaking all the rules. A rose like that shouldn't be growing in the shade, but it is. Look at that rose on this side. It's just starting to mottle a little bit. It'll be losing its leaves now. Well, most of them, I suppose. I'm very pleased with the way the London Pride has taken over the steps there, because that was very, very adobe ground and absolutely smothered in creeping buttercup. But as with all areas here within Bealtaine Cottage, I put in plants that I felt would outgrow the weeds that I didn't want. Because the amount of creeping buttercup on this land is nothing less than a monoculture. So I'm just going to walk around the front, because there's some beautiful colours and shapes happening now. Got a few more things to do before my turf arrives. Got to move this old ladder, which I don't think is safe to keep around anymore, but I'm going to try to find a place for it in the garden. It's going to have a place somewhere in the garden. A little bit windy. It's actually a beautiful day. And that little bit of wind brings in some new and sort of invigorating energy. It's coming in from the west. Ah, look at this. The first of the Michaelmas daisies have opened. Aren't they beautiful? They're a perennial daisy. I love perennials because they look after themselves. They're starting to look gorgeous. So there's the leaves changing on the beautiful birch trees over there. 3 birch trees. In here. You can see the birch leaves have fallen on this path and created a beautiful, beautiful sort of seasonal walkway. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh look, little mushrooms. Little mushrooms. Very soon there'll be some quite delicious mushrooms coming up here, and they will be shaggy inkcap mushrooms, which are delicious, but you've got to pick them fresh. But they are absolutely delicious. I'm just seeing a little hole there. I'm wondering where that's come from. As always, I'll investigate. Seems quite stable. Now there's a view you don't see too often. Lots of lovely work to do this winter, which I'm looking forward to. I love being outdoors. There's the canopy. All the changing colours. There we have it. On that note, I think I'll go and make myself a pot of tea. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Blessings.